And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to the intersection of business and politics right here on Robert Cardoza Live, where I do an honest, unbiased analysis of the issues confronting you today that affect the decisions that you're going to make for both your personal and your business life. I come to you every Monday through Friday on Spreaker Radio, Roar 1776 in radio, and my cast live radio from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Also on the 405 Media Radio every Monday and Friday, or Monday through Friday, I should say, from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Pacific time. We're also on the Pundit Press, PNN Talk Radio, and SHR Media Radio with the Conservative Syndicate Mondays and Fridays from 3:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time. In addition to countless terrestrial stations worldwide, please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, Podomatic, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com for archives of all my radio and television shows. You can also access my show live right from my website each day, simply by clicking on that little icon labeled Listen Live. Email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com, is where I get all the emails I deal with here on the show. Or you can call into my show if you want to comment or just engage me in conversation about anything. Dial directly into the studio at 909-545-6516. Again, that number, 909-545-6516. Now, in today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news. New legislation, the IRS loses. And I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do. Now, on today's show, we got special segments. I joined Sean LaFave with our brand new series, Robert and Sean on the World. But right now, I want you to stand by for news. You know what? It's 3:02 p.m., and it's currently 68 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know what? I'm going to give you the news, but we're going to encapsulate it. That's what we do every day, just kind of give you an abbreviated version of what's going on, and then we'll get more in depth so that you'll know all the stuff that's going on in the world today. First off, 10 things that you need to know for Thursday, your daily look at late-breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that'll be talked about all day today and tomorrow. And first up, who's benefiting from Trump's knack for controversy? Well, some Republican officials worry the intense Trump focus is letting Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton escape serious scrutiny. And Planned Parenthood shooting suspect disrupts the courtroom. In one of numerous outbursts, Robert Deere declares himself a warrior for babies and acknowledges his guilt in the Colorado attack that left 3 dead. Well, FBI says the San Bernardino shooter radicalized at least 2 years ago. And the disclosure suggests the government vetting process failed to detect Tashfeen Malik's radicalization when she applied for a visa and traveled to the United States last year. Well, heat's on Chicago's mayor as protesters mass outside City Hall. Rahm Emanuel struggles to respond to a police scandal, claims of cover-ups, and calls for his resignation. You know, I think so. Policeman testifies in his own defense at the Freddie Gray trial. William Porter tells jurors that he didn't call an ambulance for Gray because the suspect appeared uninjured and didn't complain of any pain during his ride in the police van. Well, why Saudi vote is historic. Saturday's balloting will be the first time women will be allowed to run in a government election, and the first time they'll be allowed to vote. Well, Yahoo aims to break itself up. The company wants to spin off its struggling internet business, essentially everything associated with the Yahoo brand name, into a new company. Well, good news for the grumpy. The latest study of whether happy people live longer concludes that your mood has no apparent effect on how long you'll live. So, you know what? Grumpy people live just as long as happy ones. Which medical advance is shaking up the animal world? Well, a surrogate hound has given birth to the first dogs ever conceived in a test tube. 7 half-pound puppies. And finally, Angela Merkel named Times Person of the Year. The magazine cites the German chancellor's leadership on everything from Syrian refugees to the Greek debt crisis. Well, truth is, I think it's a cop-out for Time. I think they were just afraid to get involved in the controversial Donald Trump. You don't have to like the guy or like what he says to know that he's had a tremendous effect. He's affected our economy. He's affected our politics. He's affected the issues on our domestic policy and foreign policy. I think they just kind of copped out. Well, right now, let's get more in depth. The gun buyer, the gunman linked by marriage, possible previous plot. The gunman who killed his co-workers in San Bernardino and the friend who bought the assault rifles used in the shooting were related through marriage and may have plotted an attack together 3 years ago. New revelations from officials and public records show a much deeper connection between Saeed Rizwan Farouk and Enrique Marquez than previously was disclosed. Marquez has not been charged with a crime. Marquez purchased high-powered weapons at least 3 years ago that Farouk and his wife used to open fire on a holiday gathering of Farouk's fellow health inspectors on December the 2nd, killing 14 people. Farouk, 28 years old, and his wife, Tashfeen Malik, 29 years old, were killed hours later in a shootout with police, leaving behind a 6-month-old daughter. The FBI dive team on Thursday searched a small urban lake about 3 miles north of the shooting site. Though it was unclear what they were looking for, the search is related to the investigation into the massacre, according to a law enforcement official who was briefed on the investigation but was not authorized to speak publicly. Wow. Can you imagine? I have no idea what they're going to come up with. But isn't it amazing how they continue to come up with facts and information? Well, can trading pollution like stocks help fight climate change? What do you think? The gas produced by hog manure at farms across the United States punches holes in the ozone layer, overheats the planet, and angers neighbors with its peculiar odor, a mix of rotten egg and ammonia. All that's needed to clear the air is to cover the manure with a system of tarps that captures the gas, but many farms don't do it because it's too expensive. If you don't give people incentives to come up with solutions, they're not going to do it, says Rudy Roslin, a wealthy entrepreneur who thinks he's found a fix. His plan? Raise money to help pay for the TARP systems through a greenhouse gas trading market in California, where companies can pay others who are helping the environment so that they can continue to pollute. Well, yeah, I guess. Widely derided by politicians on the left and the right, once thought dead even by its supporters, the idea of allowing companies to buy and sell pollution rights like stocks is now at the fore again, as 151 heads of state and government at the Paris Climate Conference grope for ways to avert environmental havoc. Well, we'll see what happens when that goes. In the meantime, do not go away. We're going to come back with tiny islands have a powerful voice in the United Nations climate talks. I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Don't go away. You want to hear it.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Well, we're talking about the news, and tiny islands have a powerful voice in the United Nations climate talks. This is right out of Le Bourget, France. They barely break the surface of the ocean, but in the United Nations talks on how to stop rising seas and other hazards of a warming planet, small island nations have the moral high ground. They are literally negotiating over their own survival, UN Environmental Program Chief Achim Steiner said. While most countries think of climate change in terms of economic costs, Pacific atolls and remote island groups in the Indian Ocean and Caribbean picture a world map without them on it. Rising seas are already eroding their coastlines and contaminating their freshwater wells. Many are in the path of typhoons and hurricanes that scientists say could become more powerful as the climate warms. We are already limping from climate disaster to climate disaster, and we know there is worse to come. Christopher Lowick, the president of the Marshall Islands, told the climate conference in Paris. Their vulnerability gives the small islands a powerful voice on climate change relative to their tiny size and impact on world affairs. At the start of the Paris talks last week, the United States President Barack Obama met with 5 leaders of island nations. Secretary of State John Kerry has been discussing the envisioned Paris deal with others, including Prime Minister Nelly Sapoaga of Tuvalu, an island nation just of 10,000 people. The Europeans, too, have been reaching out to small island leaders who they see as useful allies in their attempts to get a strong binding climate pact at the conference, which is in its final days. Well, you know what? Hopefully somebody listens to them. Their lives are at stake here. Can you imagine? Well, who's investigating fake Chinese goods? Fake investigators. The woman called herself Flaming Lee, an English name she picked when she was 10 years old, long before she got into the dirty business of counterfeit goods. Her job as a private investigator sometimes took her to client meetings in Dubai's 7-star Burj Al Arab hotel. Otherwise, she lived in apparent simplicity. There were few signs of the deception that shaped her life. Officially, Flaming Lee hunted counterfeiters for Swiss power technology giant ABB AC Brown Boverty Limited. Unofficially, She herself sold counterfeit ABB circuit breakers for export, the very things ABB was paying her to track down. It was a classic form of double dealing in China's murky anti-counterfeiting industry, which is itself plagued with fraud, and the Associated Press investigation has found. Some of the cases documented by the Associated Press involve potentially dangerous products, counterfeit auto parts, pharmaceuticals, personal care products, and electrical components. Investigative fraud is a problem few are willing to discuss publicly, using previously undisclosed records from court cases in China and internal corporate investigations, as well as interviews with people directly involved in events. The Associated Press documented multiple forms of wrongdoing. Western firms paid investigators who were themselves manufacturing or selling counterfeit versions of their clients' own goods. Investigators documented doctored documents, fabricating raids that never took place. Wow. Can you imagine? I can. Just kind of, I suppose, just makes sense, doesn't it? Sure does. Well, U.S. commandos say no to women in special operations jobs. Boy, I can see that fight coming. The men in the United States military's most dangerous jobs care little about political correctness or gender equality, and they have a message for their political leadership. When they are fighting in the shadows or bleeding on the battlefield, women have no place on their teams. In blunt and at times profanity-laced answers to a voluntary survey conducted by the RAND Corporation, more than 7,600 of America's special operations forces spoke with nearly one voice. Allowing women to serve in Navy SEAL, Army Delta, or other commando units could hurt their effectiveness and lower the standards, and it may drive men away from the dangerous posts. An overwhelming majority of those who agreed to respond to the RAND survey said they believe women don't have the physical strength or mental toughness to do the grueling jobs. Some of the broader conclusions of the survey, taken from May through July of 2014, were disclosed by the Associated Press earlier this year, but the detailed results and comments written by respondents had not been released. The Pentagon released the summer survey and other documents when Defense Secretary Ash Carter announced last week that he was opening all combat jobs to women. That decision was based on recommendations by the military service secretaries and the leaders of the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Special Operations Command. Only the Marine Corps asked to exempt women from certain infantry and frontline positions, but Carter denied that request. Wow. You had to see it coming, right? Had to. Well, Obama's executive actions could open a door for successors. While the White House has condemned Donald Trump's call for a ban on Muslim immigrants as disqualifying and toxic, President Barack Obama may have only himself to blame if a President Trump ever succeeds in putting his plan or some version of it into action. In his efforts to work around Congress, Obama has made the aggressive use of executive power, particularly on immigration, an increasingly effective and politically accepted presidential tool, while legal scholars are divided on whether Obama has accelerated or merely continue to drift to power toward the executive branch. There's little debate that he's paved a path for his successor. Now, don't go away, folks, because when we come back from this commercial message, we're going to do the IRS loses. And the first case up is an IRS split case. Loss deduction is allowed on a home's workshop. And I'll explain that whole thing to you right after these brief messages. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Oh yeah, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses. Let's dig right in. The first case, as I mentioned before, is the IRS is a split case. Loss deduction is allowed on a home's workshop. Let me tell you about it. A couple's home was appraised at $199,000 when they spent $16,000 adding an attached workshop to it. They sold the home 2 years later for $203,000. Now, the home sale was tax-free, but the couple claimed a loss on the sale of the workshop while the IRS said that they had a gain. The IRS's position, the workshop held 9% of the home space, so 9% of the sale price was allocable to it, more than $18,000. This is the couple's position, though. The workshop added only $4,000 to the value of their home, so its sale value was only that much. This is what the court said. When the couple sold the home, the real estate agent obtained 2 appraisals of it that gave an average value of the workshop of $6,500, and that value is the value that will be used. You know, the IRS is not a total loss, but they didn't get their way, did they? And you know what? They shouldn't. They're always trying to go around the block. Again, in the case, the IRS loses. The right to a speedy trial is violated. Where did you hear this one? Paul Mendoza was convicted of filing false tax returns, but protested that his trial hadn't begun until 10 years after he was indicted. So his constitutional right to a speedy trial had been violated. The IRS said before being indicted, Mendoza had left the country for 8 years, so it couldn't arrest or try him. He went to the Court of Appeals. This is what they said. The IRS had contact information for Mendoza, but had done almost nothing to inform him of the charges against him. He didn't know of the indictment, so he hadn't fled and had even returned a call to the IRS that was made to his wife. The IRS's lack of effort to inform him of the case was prejudicial, so his conviction is reversed and without prejudice, which means the IRS can never come back on that case again. Another case the IRS lost. Getting expert advice saves penalties from an abusive investment. Here's the case. 3 couples invested in a partnership that promised both business profits and tax benefits. The IRS later held that it was an abusive tax shelter and imposed negligence penalties on the couples. They replied that they had checked the bona fides of the businesses before investing. The IRS told the court that other investors in the same shelter had been held liable for the penalties. This is what the court said. These couples showed that they had paid reputable professional advisors a reasonable amount relative to the size of their investments to investigate the partnership for them before they invested. So they had not been negligent. There you go. The IRS just keeps trying, don't they? Try this one on for size. The IRS lost. Retiree does not owe tax on insurance policy owned by the firm. Here's the case. Joseph Dyer was a partner in a law firm that in 1978 bought an insurance policy on his life payable to his wife, Mary, to pay her the value of his interest in the firm if he died. Now, Joseph retired in 2001, and the firm let the policy lapse. The lapse resulted in $18,000 of taxable income to the policy owner that the insurance company reported to Mary on a Form 1099, and that the IRS thus taxed the Dyers. They protested with the tax court. This is what the judge said. The law firm had been the policy's owner, paying the premiums and arranging the policy for its own benefit. There was no evidence that Mary had ever received an $18,000 payment or benefit, so the Dyers escaped the tax. Now, isn't that exactly what you'd expect? That's what I'd expect. How about this? Try this on for size. You hear me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing things? Well, that's where we're at right now in this segment that we call Inside the IRS. Yeah, do you ever wonder to yourself how the IRS agents determined that you have not reported all of your income? Give that some thought sometimes, right? In this particular case, a common method that the IRS uses is to simply add up all of the deposits in your bank and brokerage accounts during the year. The presumption is that all deposits represent income unless you can establish that the money came from a gift or a loan. Now, a revenue agent will also review credit card and bank loan statements to determine if payments made during the year to reduce the balance were made from sources other than your bank accounts. But there's a trap here. The agent may want to visit your home to determine if there are new appliances or furniture and to take a look at your wardrobe. Was unreported cash used to purchase these items? Here's your safest bet. The IRS must obtain a search warrant, which never happens in a civil case, so do not give a revenue agent permission to tour your home. Ever. You got that? Ever. Let me give you one more here before we go on our break. Tax-exempt organizations and politics. To enjoy the benefit of being a tax-exempt organization, for example, a religious institution or a school, an organization is prohibited from participating in or intervening in any political campaign on behalf of or in opposition to any candidate for public office. Now, the reality of it is tax-exempt organizations have been actively supporting or working against certain politicians. The IRS has been under pressure from Congress to do something about this abuse. However, guidance recently issued in a revenue ruling explains that voter education is permitted as long as it's not biased. Well, I guess that's what these organizations are doing now. They're educating you. They're not telling you how to vote. Yeah, go figure. Hey, listen, don't go away. When we come back from this commercial message, we're going to be with our own Sean LaFave. You know what? And Sean and I are going to tackle world events. I joined Sean in our new series, Robert and Sean on the World. We'll be right back after these brief messages, so don't go away, folks.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:33 p.m. Pacific time, currently 63 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, my good buddy Sean LaFave is waiting in the wings in beautiful Laguna Beach, California, where it's 64 and partly cloudy. But you know what? Get ready for an hour of power with me and Sean LaFave on the World. Let me get a proper introduction in here for him, and we'll get him right on the air.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from his personal meditation lounge in Orange County, California, a professional dedicated to conquering many chronic conditions from autism to weight loss and everything in between. The nationally recognized wellness coach, consultant, and lecturer, Sean LaFave, in his Geared for Wellness Corner.
Sean, here we are, another hour of power with you and me on the World. I can't hardly wait to see what if anything, we're going to solve or talk about here today.
I got a whole lot of things I would love to talk about, and I doubt we're going to get to most of them because we never do. But we
give it a shot.
We do need to continue The thing I like about the hour show that we do is we tend to get more political, and I tend to stay out of the political discussions for the most part of my personal life. So it's kind of nice to do it here. So we're going to get a little political in what we were talking about last week. We were just kind of talking about the health aspect of it, the law aspect of it. Mm-hmm. But I want to get a little bit more political about that thing we were talking about with the new law that criminalizes drug use while pregnant.
Yeah. I think that you know what, it was so interesting, and we didn't have an ample amount of time to actually deal with it. So I think dealing with it a little more in depth makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So we of course we talk about there was a case up in North Dakota, and we'll kind of start with that one and then come back to the law where the woman was prosecuted in Tennessee, or I don't know if she was. Well,
you know what, we shouldn't assume that everybody knows what we're talking about. Why don't you kind of recap just a little bit about that law first?
So there's a new law out there. People don't listen to us every single day. The exact same people every day.
Well, you would sure hope so, but you never know. You know what? And hopefully we're gaining new listeners all the time.
But so there's a new law, and it is not just in the state of Tennessee; it's in other states as well. But the law basically states that if a woman uses drugs, pretty much of any type, it doesn't really specify like that it has to be a certain class of drugs, but obviously illegal drugs not prescribed by a physician, not properly used under a physician's care, and it either creates harm to the baby. If a woman does this while she's pregnant and it creates harm to the baby, or the baby is born addicted to these drugs, then at that point the mother can be charged with assault by use of drugs and be charged. And it comes down to a misdemeanor charge, which assault typically is a misdemeanor charge. But assault for the illegal use of a narcotic drug while pregnant is the term that they use for it. And so that's what the law states. And so we've got this woman in Tennessee that was the first person. This was a couple months ago. She was the first person to be charged with this new law because she had used meth, and she confessed to using meth. A couple of days before she gave birth, she tested positive for meth. The baby tested positive for meth. And so she was arrested on her way out the door. And I think the things that they're trying to prevent, obviously, we're trying to prevent harm to children who, they're completely innocent. I mean, as a baby is as innocent as it gets. And so obviously that's the intent of the law. And then there was, as I was kind of perusing that one, I found another case, and this is from, it was just recently settled, I think, but it was back in 2014 when this happened, so last year, where a woman 2 days after giving birth had been prescribed 20 hydrocodone pills to treat pain, and then the very next day got another prescription for 15 more pills, which that I don't understand.
But now, was it a different doctor?
I assume it was it didn't say if it was the same doctor. It just said the next day she got another prescription. And so instead of taking them in the pill form like they're prescribed, she was crushing them and snorting them, which makes the effect you get is much greater when you crush it up and snort it, as opposed to just taking it orally. And of course, so the assumption is she already had a problem before. You don't become that addicted to a drug in one day. And so 2 days after the child was born, she was breastfeeding him, and she had taken so much of the stuff that she passed out and suffocated the child, and the child died at the age of 2 days, not 2 years, 2 days. And of course, what they're saying is, the hospital failed. That's the actual title of the article. The headline reads, "Hospital fails to test for drugs. Days later, a newborn is dead." And so what they're saying is, if the hospital had the wherewithal to test this mom and the baby for drug use, they probably would have found that she was already using drugs, and they could have prevented this death. And that's really, I think, what this whole law. And of course, this woman is distraught. She says, "I understand that I'm going to have to live with this for the rest of my life," and so on and so forth. But the fact is, she I don't know if you call it murder, manslaughter, murder two, what it is, but she killed her own child because she was so addicted to her drugs. And so that's what this law is out to prevent, is things like this. And I think what I find fascinating is I would hope that pretty much anybody you would talk to would go, yeah, you should never do drugs. Right. You shouldn't drink alcohol. You shouldn't smoke. There's a lot of things you shouldn't do while you're pregnant, but there are people who are against this law. And, of course, we talked about them, the American Civil Liberties Union in Tennessee. was actively speaking out, saying that there is a serious constitutional concerns regarding the equal treatment under the law, basically saying that this singles out young mothers. Well, of course it singles out young mothers. I mean, it singles out any mother, it singles out any woman who got pregnant, because men don't get pregnant, and of course it doesn't single, of course even women.
Well, let me stop you. Let me stop you for a second, because you know what, and you make a valid point, but I don't understand why the ACLU even is involved here. I understand that they're singling out women, but you know what, women can still create crimes that their significant others or their boyfriends or whoever it might be didn't have any involvement in, and they would be held liable for that. In a case like this, she did it. She did it willingly. If the very, in my opinion, it ought to be involuntary manslaughter, and she ought to spend prison time, not misdemeanor time, prison time for it.
And that's my thought, and my question was exactly the same. As I was reading the article, I thought, why would the ACLU be so against this law? Why would they stand up so strongly against it? Now, we know the ACLU is very much fighting for anything that's on the left.
Yeah.
And I really started to think about that, and I came up with what I think is the only logical conclusion on why they would do it. Now, if you step back for just a second.
Wasn't it George Bush Sr. that came out with the war on drugs?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Yeah, and that's on the right. That's not on the left. And the American Civil Liberties Union wants everybody to be treated equally and fairly. Then women who are the cause of children's deaths ought to be punished the same way anybody else would be.
And that's exactly right. However, here's where I think the ACLU is coming from. I don't think that they're against this law, but this law is a gateway to something that they don't ever want to happen. And if you think about it, if I go out and I drink myself to the point where my liver fails, tough, it's my liver. If I smoke to where I get lung cancer, tough, it's my own lungs. Nobody's going to prosecute me. Go on. I can give myself diabetes. I can give myself kidney failure. I can do all kinds of things to myself. Mm-hmm. But I can't do it to another person. And what this law is saying is that she did this to another person. This is a person who was not yet born.
Okay, so hang on. Stop right there for a second. So, and explain to me, how different is that than that person you were describing who went out and got drunk and was driving and killed an innocent family because he shouldn't have been driving? Why is that any different than this woman who killed the baby?
I think the difference in the eyes of the ACLU is the people in that car were already born, and we can easily define them as people. The ACLU does not want to define a fetus as a human being, as an individual person, because think of what that means in the fight against abortion.
Well, no, I understand. No, I understand where you're going with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense, is they don't want this law to be upheld to fit, because if it does, then what they're saying is that she did harm to another person, because they want to say that it's not a life, it's not a person until it's born.
Well, and the thing is though, long before that, the baby can hear, the baby can move, the baby, even can make some kind of noises. The other thing is that when you think about it, right after conception, the mother is no longer creating the baby. That life, that cells, those multiplications are taking place naturally of itself, and the creation is just taking. The incubation is in the mother. The creation are in those cells that were deposited in conception. So obviously, something exists.
Exactly. But those who are pro-choice, who want to make abortion or keep abortion legal, want to use the argument that it's not a human life, that it's not a person until it's able to live on its own. They want to stay until it's born, but sometimes they'll flex and they'll say, okay, if it's a viable human being that you can take from the womb at 8 months or 7 months, then maybe we'll consider that a life.
Well, you know what? It's not your fault or my fault that there are so many demented people in this world that have no sense of common sense.
And I agree. But I think that's why they would. That's the only logical reason why they would fight this kind of law, is because they don't want. If you have to admit through this law that she did harm to another person, a person who was not yet born, then you have to admit the logical conclusion there is that this was an individual person. And it's not part of her body. That's their whole cry. That's been their cry forever. My body, my choice.
Yeah.
Well, if this baby's not part of her body, because like I said, I can screw up my liver, my lungs, my kidneys, my pancreas. I can give myself diabetes. I can make myself obese. It's my body. I can do whatever I want to. I can go cut my arm off if I really feel like I need to. People would probably put me in a loony bin, but it's not illegal to cut my arm off. But to do harm to another person is, of course, illegal. But you can't consider it harm to another person if that person inside of you is considered part of your body. And so that's the argument they make. My body, my choice. Well, all of a sudden now we've taken that choice away from her to use drugs while she's pregnant, because the underlying assumption there is that it's not her body, it's someone else's body. And I think that's what the left...
Oh, hey, I got to stop you right now. I got so involved in this conversation, blew right past the commercial. We're going to be right back with our own Sean LaFave. Sean and I are going to continue this conversation about this new law that's taking place. And so don't go away. We'll be right back with Sean LaFave and Bob on the World.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're having an hour of power with my buddy Sean LaFave and me on the world. We're talking about the inequities of a new law that took place, making it a crime. Actually, it's a misdemeanor. I think it ought to be a felony for drug abuse from mothers who harm their children. Sean, I cut you off, and I'll let you pick it up right where you left off.
I think I kind of hit the point just as we were finishing. That is that we have to assume that if you harm a baby in utero, that and you can be convicted of it, that in fact has to be a separate human being. If the mom is able to harm the baby while the baby is still in her uterus or in the womb, then it's a viable living person, a separate person from herself.
At least that's what that law would indicate, right?
That's what the law would have to indicate, because if it is truly a part of her body, like the pro-abortionists would want us to believe, then she should be able to do whatever she wants to while she's pregnant. As long as she doesn't subject the child to drugs after birth, then she really has committed no crime, if in fact that baby is a part of her body and not a separate entity all its own. But that's where the flaw in the whole abortion argument lies, and I think that's why the people like the ACLU are so vehemently against the law that states that a woman who uses drugs while pregnant can be convicted of assault on her own child, because it does separate the two of them as different people. So it's just an interesting law. I read it and I went, well, good, that's great. Then I'm reading through and I thought, why would the ACLU object to this? They're so ridiculous in the things that they fight against, and I at least get some of it. But this one here, I had to think about it for a second, and I went, oh, the implications are this could bleed over into the abortion fight.
And that, and I think you hit the nail right on the head. That's exactly what the issue is, and that's why they don't want to make it a bigger issue, because this particular law, if it's held to be constitutional, then that would hold that there is a separate entity within the womb of the mother.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. So I think that's pretty much it, though. Unless,
I think I think it's tremendously interesting if you think about it. And obviously, we could get into this whole issue, pro and con, pro life, and pro mothers' rights and stuff like that. But the truth is that's not where this conversation is. This conversation is viability. And the truth is, if you think about it, if you had a cancer or a tumor in any part of your body, it actually is a part of your body. It's growing within your body, and is part of the cellular structure of your body. And they go in, they cut it out. They don't think a thing of it. When it comes to a fetus, the only part that's connected is the umbilical cord. It sustains that life for just a short period of time, but the life itself is self-sufficient. Other than that umbilical cord, it grows and it's developing. And you're talking about heart and lungs and eyes and brain and the whole 9 yards and appendages. You know what? That's all happening independent of the mother.
Right, and what happens in the cancer tumor is based off of your tissue, it's your DNA that has been morphed into something different. It's still your DNA, though. But that baby, from the second it is conceived, from the moment of conception, is the DNA of two people put together, and now it has created a unique DNA that nobody else in the world has.
Right.
And that's what makes it its own human being, is its own person, is it's the DNA. So a cancer structure is not a different entity. It is a part of yourself that has just, unfortunately, morphed into something that becomes harmful. Yeah.
So listen, I saw something in the news today, and I don't know if it's something you'll find of interest or not. I was a little surprised that it just happened today. It was the first time in history that a surrogate dog gave birth to pups, 7 pups, a half a pound each. And it happened today. I would have thought that those kinds of tests, those kinds of things would have happened long before this date, because we've been doing it with humans for a long time.
Yeah. I don't know what the point of that would be. I mean, I understand why, humans do it, because, we want to, a woman wants to, they want to have a child that's their own, DNA from mom and dad, so someone else can carry it for them. But why would that, I don't know why that would be necessary to do with dogs. And you're right. Like, I would assume that we would have tried this on dogs and cats and gerbils and whatever else long before we ever tried it on people.
Yeah.
So the fact that this is the first time that they've ever done this with a dog, that's really interesting. And it seems like it's,
kind of backwards.
Humans. It is backwards.
Yeah.
We can do it with people. We shouldn't be able to do it with dogs. But I wonder, did they say why? What was the purpose of it?
You know what? It didn't get that far. It was just this big announcement in the Associated Press announcing that for the first time in history, a surrogate dog has given birth to 7 puppies, half a pound each.
Huh. Well, the funny thing, what made it so big was maybe the surrogate mother was just a Chihuahua, and they were Labrador puppies.
Yeah, yeah, or Saint Bernards. I was so disappointed when I found out the Saint Bernards really don't carry a kettle of brandy under the necks.
Yeah, I know. That's false advertising right there.
That killed my whole desire for being caught in a snowstorm.
Yeah, exactly. Say, wait a minute, you're asking me where's the brandy? Come on, give me the barrel. In the cartoons, that's all they always had them every single time. Yeah. You grew up. That's what you see a Saint Bernard, you assume it's got a little barrel at the front of its neck. I'm a brandy cognac drinker.
I mean that would be an incentive for me if they put a decent brand there. I'd be really, really kind to that dog.
Oh yeah. Oh man, so a nice little Martell or something like that would be. Oh, yeah.
So listen, we are getting ready to go on another commercial break. When we come back, there was another. You know what? In this first segment.
We went long.
No. Actually, in this first segment, the segments are a little bit shorter because of a simulcast that I do, and I've got to make sure that the timing is right on the money because they'll cut me off the air. But when we come back, you'll find out if you're paying attention that our segments are much longer, making up for the first segment. So anybody who's in the second segments of the show actually have more airtime than those people that are in the first segments. Now, having said that, when we come back, Sean and I have exciting news about the very first penis implant in the world.
Penis transplant.
That's right, not implant, transplant.
Yeah, so they've already done that, transplant. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to let Sean handle that because I don't want to get my hands all over it. We'll be right back with my good buddy Sean LaFave on the world right after these brief messages. Don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4 p.m. Pacific time, currently 65 degrees on its way to 48 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know what? We're going to go, I said we were going to talk about, I forgot to mention, I'm talking to my good buddy Sean Lefebvre in our new series on the world. It's an hour of power with Sean and me. And before we left from this commercial break, I actually had a Freudian slip. We talked about a penis implant. Well, you know, that's a whole different subject from what actually took place, and that was a penis transplant. But you know, Sean, it takes me back way back in the era where we had there was a lot of smoking and cigarette advertising and stuff on them. And I remember them saying, you know, smoke Tarringtons, they're a silly millimeter longer. Could that be a reason for a transplant?
They said that what?
Well, no, the cigarettes used to, when they came out with the king size cigarettes, it was smoked Tarrington because they were a silly millimeter longer. I'm thinking, could that be a fantastic
reason? I guarantee you that if this whole penis transplant thing actually gets a foothold and becomes more allowable in this country, mm-hmm. I guarantee you that men will be doing it for the extra centimeter or
well, that's what I was thinking. You know, then they have that segment of the male population that can't find a woman to satisfy them, so they try to satisfy themselves. I can just see this them doing this too quickly after the operation and holding a displacement in their hand away from their body.
Yeah, it just falls right off.
I didn't know how I was going to say that, but
I think Eddie Murphy made a joke about that, but I won't repeat it because there's certain things I'm not allowed to say on your show.
Yeah, swinging in the wind. Yeah.
But you know, the reason though that they're doing them right now in the United States, of course, according to the article, is I think the number was like 1,300 to 1,380 something or somewhere around there. Somewhere between 1,300 and 1,400 U.S. soldiers have had some form of genital mutilation due to, IED explosions,
yeah.
Whatever the case might be, whatever they were hit by, shrapnel or whatever. And of course they I don't know if they can't do reconstructive surgery or they need a so they're basically going to give these guys new penises. And they said they've got 60 of them scheduled. And
I got to tell you, all kidding aside, I think it's wonderful, especially under those terms. I think it's fantastic. These guys have given up the most precious thing, or offered up the most precious thing they have in the fight for our country, and that's their lives. And they were maimed and disfigured as a result of it. And if medical science can accomplish this to at least psychologically let them be whole again, I think that's the very least we can do.
And it is very, it's very viable. It's very logical conclusion is, what it's going to imagine what that is. We talk about women who go through breast cancer and get a breast cut off, and how traumatic that is for them. Imagine, a guy losing his genitals. I mean, wow. That's it's got to be at least as bad. And for them to be able to have that restored, I think is a fascinating thing, and I think it's awesome. And I of course I'm wondering, where are they going to get the transplants from? But
probably people that have died. Why would it be any different than a kidney or?
I know. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, car accident victims or whatever. You get plenty of people that die every year that are young and healthy and have parts that can be. So I just think it's but I was curious, of course, and every guy's thinking this, so I'm not going to not say it, but I wonder if they get to choose like the size. Okay, I want like do they get to pick how the dimensions or
it depends on how long you want to wait, I guess. I think you get what you pay for, or you get what's available.
Yeah, we can get you an average size one in 2 months, but if you want to wait a year and a half, we can get you an XL. So it's up to you. And so of course, for the soldiers, I think this is obviously a fascinating or a fantastic thing that we're able to do for them. But I do wonder if this is successful and we're able to do this and this works and it's and they're able to have full function and everything comes out the way it should. Then what's to stop this from rolling into something where, men who are born with small genitals who want to have larger genitals now can go and get put on a transplant list.
But if you think about it, I mean, seriously, if you think about it in a little more, I was going to say in depth. That's not the word I wanted to use. But if you think about it, I'm guessing they're going to have the same problems, rejection problems, and probably use problems. Will it function properly, just like his own genitals would have?
Well, and that was my question. Yeah, is if it works. I mean, if everything works the way it's supposed to, then what's to stop this from being a new trend where, you're not happy with the size you are, we can get you a new one. Model.
Yeah, and will he have feeling? Will there be any sensation there? Other than the cosmetic part of it? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No. I'm really curious where it's going to lead to, because even just. Even if the sensation wasn't there, the feeling was different, maybe it didn't function as well, whatever. For someone like a wounded soldier, this is still a good thing.
Yeah.
Because
Well, yeah. If you think about it, Sean,
you look in the mirror when you're naked, it's gone.
Absolutely. If you think about it, you said it, and it's really no different. If a woman who's lost her breast looks in the mirror and is psychologically destroys her, what do you think it does to a man to look in the mirror and no penis be there? You can make all the jokes in the world, but it's devastating.
Oh, it would be devastating. It would be horrible. And honestly, I mean, I would imagine if you asked most guys, the vast majority, and if you said, hey, you're going to get hit by an IED in Iraq, would you rather lose a leg or your genitals? They're like, no, take the leg, man. I can figure out how to walk on a prosthetic.
Absolutely.
Most guys would probably rather lose a leg than lose. I mean, they'd rather lose almost anything than that.
And you know what? And people, I'm sure that are not men, women, and I just women mostly aren't going to understand that choice.
Of course not. No,
but men certainly.
There's probably a lot of women out there that wish their husbands would lose it. That can happen. You need to go sign up for the army.
Well, it reminds me of a story. The story about this rabbi, this Jewish rabbi. He had this unique hobby. When he was performing circumcisions, he'd keep the foreskins. He'd collect them. And when he retired after 40 years, and he couldn't figure out what he was going to do. He wanted to do something, and so he went to this leather company and these guys, and he says, "Look, I've been a rabbi for 40 years. 40 years I've been doing these circumcisions. I've saved these foreskins. I'd like you to make something for me that would remind me of my lifelong career." And the guy in this place says, "You're kidding me." He says, "No." And he says, "Well, you know what? Leave them here. Let me see what I can do." So the rabbi leaves the foreskins there, and he goes away. He comes back a week later. He's all excited, and he asks the guy, "Okay, what'd you make me? What'd you make me?" And this guy says, "Here, I made you this," and it's like a little change purse. And the rabbi looks at this thing and he says, 40 years. my whole career, and it comes in, you give me a change purse? He says, Rabbi, you don't understand. If you rub it, it becomes a two-suiter.
That's terrible. I knew this was going somewhere like that.
All right. So listen, what's next on our agenda here today? We've got another 9 minutes before we got to take a break.
All right, you know what? Because I'm dying to get your perspective on this.
Okay,
we're gonna switch gears quite a bit here. Donald Trump has been spewing all this stuff about no Muslims in the country, and he did come clarify that if you're a Muslim serving in the U.S. military and you're deployed overseas, you would certainly be allowed back in. And of course, it's just it's crazy that this is even a discussion we're having, but what are your thoughts? Why do you think he's saying this? And just what is your opinion on the whole thing? Because I'm pretty baffled by it, to be honest with you. I'm not saying I disagree or agree with him, but I'm pretty baffled by his a pretty harsh stance that he's taking, and definitely one that I think could, certainly bring his numbers down. So what do you think he's doing? What's going through his mind right now?
Okay, so I have looked at it. I've tried to be as objective as I can. And this is going to take probably longer than the 8 minutes I've got. But you know what? The first thing that comes to mind is all of a sudden in Iowa, he's behind Ted Cruz. He's been ahead in all the polls. Nationally, he's ahead of the polls in double digits. And all of a sudden in Iowa, he's behind Ted Cruz. And we know that what he had to do is to create a controversy, because every time he does get in a little bit of trouble, he creates a controversy and he jumps in the polls. Well, I think he was looking for something that would do that, and I think that this horrific event in San Bernardino, California, gave him the food for fodder. And so he came up with this idea: I am going to ban all Muslims. We're going to deport them. We're going to get them out of the country. We're not going to let them back in. If you're a citizen of the United States and you leave the country, you can't come back until we get this worked out. Well, you know what? It created a lot of controversy, but one of the things is it put him back on television and in the news 24/7. That's all they're talking about is Donald Trump. And today the polls came out, and he actually got an 8% or an 8-point jump in his polls. There are a lot of people that are just fed up with feeling scared and feeling afraid and business as usual in Washington, D.C. And now what I'm finding is all the pundits and the legislators. The only guy that hasn't skewered him was Ted Cruz, and it's because he's playing a wiser game, and that is that he's hoping that Donald Trump is going to self-destruct, and Ted Cruz will get his followers, which is what he's thinking. But now all of a sudden people are saying, well, wait a minute. How is this that much different than when Roosevelt interned the Japanese, because we didn't know who was our enemy and who wasn't? And how is it, and he's not saying put them into an internment camp, but you could put them there until you work out a way of finding out. You've got to stop at some place. We have to do something, or we have to allow the citizens of the United States to be in constant fear, in constant danger. Well, you know what? People are starting to take a second look at this, and while it goes against everything I believe in, while it goes against everything our Constitution stands for, while it goes against everything our country is all about, there has to be some kind of self-preservation for 350 million United States citizens to protect us. And if that means you make it more difficult for that segment of society to get in here until we can work out a vetting system that keeps us safe, then you know what? Maybe it's not such a bad idea. Maybe it needs to be tweaked and it needs to be perfected a bit. In the first installment, it sounds gruff and rough and tough. You know what? Maybe it's worth taking a look at. So, and I'm not saying doing it that way, but taking a look at it and handling it in an American way, in a way that we can Let people have their dignity. Let people be safe around the world. Not let the Muslims from Syria and the rest of them have to commit political suicide because we won't give them any safety net. But create places where they can be and maintain a decent, honest life until we can get them vetted in a way that we know that the people of America will remain safe when we bring them in. I'm thinking there might be a middle of the road here.
I believe there could be too, and I totally agree with you. It's funny, the whole thing. For some reason, Jimmy Carter came to mind too. He banned Iranians during the hostage crisis. He said, if you're Iranian, you're not going into my country, period, until this hostage crisis is over. And it's funny to think that the last two people that have really done this type of thing to a part of the world's society have both been Democrats, Jimmy Carter and FDR. And now that a Republican is saying something that's maybe a little more harsh and certainly general, the problem is, of course, they say, well, not all Muslims are bad. Well, not all Iranians were bad and not all Japanese were bad. But like you said, we don't know who is and who isn't.
That's right.
Until we get it figured out. And so we're not saying this is intractable and forever. We're just saying until we figure it out and make it safe for the citizens of this country. I mean, think about this. What is the first and foremost responsibility of the President of the United States? Isn't it to maintain the safety and security of our citizens? Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that Donald. I think the thing that people need to remember about Donald Trump, I find two things about this fascinating. One is that his poll numbers shot up, and so people are agreeing with him, even though the other half of the country doesn't want us to agree with him. They just won't let themselves go. Okay, wait a minute. The other half of the country really believes in what he's saying, and they agree with him. And they won't just stop and go, why do you guys agree with him so much? What are you so afraid? They just go, no, it's wrong, and you're a hater, and you're a racist, and all you guys want to do is kill everybody. And it's like, okay, stop your rhetoric. That's not his point. He doesn't hate them. He's not he just doesn't want terrorists in our country. But I think the thing that people need to remember about Donald Trump, he wrote one of the most successful business books ever called The Art of the Deal, and that Donald Trump is a negotiator. Boy, you know what? And the proof of that is this. This deal with the Muslims is nothing more than an extension of him making an issue of immigration. This is an immigration issue. It's nothing more than that. And when you think about the art of making the deal, you talk about a negotiation that's going on right now, and he's showing how astute he is. The negotiation is Donald Trump against the GOP. They're all walking on eggshells because he's got 66% of Republicans are supporting him even with this Muslim deal. And he's threatening, hey, you don't like this? I'll become an independent. And the Republican Party will cease to exist. Yeah. Yeah, that's what people need to understand about him is because he's a negotiator, he's not going to come out and tell you, here's what I want. Whatever it is that he wants, he's going to magnify it by like 10 times and make it sound like he wants a whole lot more than he doesn't really want to shut down our borders to all Muslims. He doesn't want that. But he knows that if he says, well, what we need to do is have a better vetting process and maybe slow it down a little bit and, maybe have some better controls, then they're going to go, no, you're still a racist. And they're going to, he's not even going to get half of what he really wants. And so he asks for 10 times more than he wants, knowing that once he settles for basically maybe even a little bit more than what he wants, everyone goes, look at it, what a great deal we got. Look at we pulled one over on the old Donald, Yeah, well, you know what? When you were in school, did you ever plan on getting a C? Hell no. You always wanted to get an A because if you didn't get an A, at least you got a B, but you got something better than a C or a D, right? Right. Yeah. You go out to the bar, you're looking for a 10, you go home with a 6, and you're like, all right. You wake up with a 2, and you're like, what happened? Well, you know what that old song says. The girls all get prettier at closing time. Yes, they do. But anyway, so I think that's I think Donald Trump is on the right track, and I've got friends that just they all they can see is. And what would you say to the people who say this? They're going, look, he's just the Republican Party in general, but especially Donald Trump, the Republican Party in general, is just so filled with hatred and bigotry and racism and anger, and they just want to go to war and they want to kill everybody. And I'm going, no, that's really not but I don't know how you're seeing it that way. But what do you say to those people?
Well, you know what? I say that they already have a predetermined notion, and they've already decided what it really is, and they only see their own side of it, and they refuse to be objective and look at the other side. And we can talk more about that when we come back from these commercial messages. We're talking to our own Sean LaFave on our new segment, An Hour of Power with Sean and Robert on the World. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Don't go away. You don't want to miss this.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39. A complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and power, or business and politics. You know what? We're in our hour of power with Sean LaFave and me on the world. You know, I don't know why I got tongue-tied. I was sitting here, Sean, I was thinking about, an admission, and that is that I am a Republican. It's hard to be in business all your life and not believe in the Republican foundation. But here's the thing, the platform, you can believe in parts of it, but you don't have to believe in all of it. But I tell friends of mine all the time, it's getting harder and harder and more embarrassing when I have to admit that I'm a registered Republican. I suppose that if I could vote in a primary and a general like they have in some states, I'd be an independent, and I think that that's probably where I belong. But when you ask me that question about Donald Trump, and you try to read, through between the lines there, I think he's a lot smarter than anybody gives him any credit for. The political pundits certainly haven't got him right. They've been preaching doom and gloom all along. When he made this announcement with regard to the Muslims, they thought, well, that was it. He's self-destructed, and his ratings went up 8 percentage points. So you've got to say to yourself, this man is immune to it. And you know what makes him immune, Sean? The fact that nobody in America wants business as usual in Washington, D.C. or anywhere else. We're sick and tired of paying politicians to do nothing. We want something to happen. And we all want the same thing, that is that motto that Donald Trump has. We want to make America great again.
And I think that's totally it. That's why his numbers go up. They go, okay, no politician in his right mind who is a true politician would come out with such a bold, and here's the key word, honest statement.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the American people are going, you know what? That's got to be truth coming out of his mouth, because no one would be stupid enough to say that, thinking, if they didn't actually believe it, thinking that it was going to do any good. I mean, you have to believe that. That has to be truth.
Oh yeah, well, you know what?
This is what I would do. You have to really mean it, because you wouldn't say that if you didn't mean it.
Yeah. Now when people ask, what are the differences between the politicians? None of these politicians are talking about issues. None of these politicians are talking about policies. None of these politicians are saying what they're going to do to fix it. They're only saying what's wrong with it, right? And what separates all of them? Donald Trump. He's the only guy out there that is creating controversy. He's the only guy saying what he'll do, whether it's popular or not. He is actually coming up with solutions and plans, and he's sitting there, and the rest of these guys are sitting there with eggs on their face. Now, I'm not telling you that I'm going to vote for Donald Trump, but I'm not telling you that I'm not. The thing is that I like the idea that at least one of the 18 people that are running for president of the United States is being honest about what he's saying. Maybe I don't like everything he's saying, but he is saying something. We wouldn't be talking about immigration. We wouldn't be talking about Muslims. We wouldn't be talking about the tax system that we have today. All of those things were because of Donald Trump. He's forcing those issues. He's making people talk about the things that are important to every single citizen of the United States, or even, matter of fact, every resident of the United States.
Yeah. And that's absolutely it. I think that's what the people who really like him, that's what they like about him. We on both sides, Democrat, Republican, left, right, whatever you want to call it, everyone is tired of the bullshit and the lies and the rhetoric and the vague promises. If Hillary Clinton came out and talked about what we should do, it would be this, on a case by case, we should, most likely it would be prudent if we did, she'd come out with all these vagueness, ambiguities. For Donald Trump, it's just very straight. And so when we, on both sides, people are saying we're tired of the lies, we're tired of the rhetoric. But when someone comes out and just says bold, straightforward truth, this is what I would do, without any ambiguity, without any of the rhetoric, without you going, okay, that was a really political, I don't even know what he just said kind of statement, then now we want to crucify him for that.
Well, here's the thing, Sean.
There's a lot who do.
Yeah, here's the thing. You might not like what he says he wants to do, but he says he wants to do something, because we have to do something. And he says, hey, wait a minute, folks. I got 2 ears. I'll listen to you. You got a better plan? You got a better idea? You got any idea? Tell me what it is. Nobody's coming up with anything.
And I think that's another thing that I do like about him is he's the kind of guy, he's going to hire smart people. He's going to hire the best he can. He's going to put in office the best he can. Yeah. And that he will actually go, okay, what is the best thing that we can do here? He's not going to do what Donald Trump wants. He is going to listen to the people, and he is going to listen to his advisors, because that's how he's grown, in his business world. Yeah. He doesn't create buildings or hotels or, whatever, vodka or whatever it is that he's got his name on, because it's what he likes. He creates it because he knows that's what everyone else wants. He creates things that appeal to the masses. That's why he's worth $8 billion.
Yeah, and you know what else? You know what else he does? He's the only politician that I've seen that is not using a teleprompter. When that man gets in front of 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 people, he's not using a teleprompter. You're right. And I think people feel that. It's not something,
He's not so polished. He doesn't look like Joel Osteen up there, Yeah. He's just up there just saying what's on his mind, and we're going, wow, someone who's actually saying what they mean and what they feel, what they believe, and not being told what to say. It's not. It doesn't feel like a bunch of speeches.
Yeah, somebody said something about, well, he repeats himself. Well, yeah, he does, because he doesn't have this thing written on a teleprompter. He's giving it to you right from the heart. He repeats himself. Don't you? If you get into a long, protracted conversation, repeat yourself?
Yeah, I'm sure I probably repeated myself 4 or 5 times on the show just this 1 hour.
Oh, you never you never repeat yourself on our show. It's all brand new, fresh material.
Well, thanks.
I got to tell you, I hope everybody enjoys this segment with you as much as I do. I just love the freshness, the spontaneity of it. And you know what I really love? I love what you did to me today. I love the idea that you blindsided me with a subject and wanted to know what I thought about it. And I think that that's what you and I are going to do from now on. Each one of us is going to... No, honestly. I think each one... I send you off things just to make sure that you've got something. But the truth is I think it would be a great idea if each one of us had something. Of course, it might wind up being the same thing from time to time, but in our back pocket that we could have a conversation about.
Yeah, well, no, absolutely, I love it, and you do that to me on a regular basis. You'll throw stuff out, and I'm like, well, okay, I don't really know, but I'll give it the best I got. Yeah. And then those usually turn out to be the best discussions, the ones that are the most fun, like you said, and it is because you're going, okay, I'm not prepared, but boy, we're just going to speak from the heart, and yeah, it's this is a new segment for us to do a full hour and just kind of go off the cuff, and hopefully, the people who are listening will realize that, again, you may not agree with everything you say, and we may sound like crazy men sometimes, but hopefully people understand it's from the heart, and I think that's the best kind of discussion to have.
Oh yeah, and you and I, it's not like you and I always agree either. There are a lot of things that you and I disagree on, but we disagree on it as gentlemen with just a differing opinion. It's not that you're right or wrong, or that I'm right or wrong. We just have a different opinion.
I'm always right.
Well, you know what? I would say you were right, but then I would be wrong, and that would not be kind,
No, that would be horrible. I can't imagine you ever being wrong about anything.
I can't.
How much time do we left? How much time we have left?
Thank you for reminding me, because I get into these conversations with you, and all of a sudden I've gone overtime. We got 5.5 minutes.
Okay, so I just read an article that I thought was absolutely fascinating, and it is I'm going to kind of go back on health, but I guess it goes back. You know how me, I always want to make sure that people are thinking. Sure. I'm not going to tell you what you should do. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but I'm going to tell you this is the facts, and you should make smart decisions based on this. And of course, we all have heard about, you get cancer, the medical doctors want to give you chemo and radiation, and we just kind of come to the point where we just assume that, the chemo and radiation may not always be the thing that we really want, but at least it's going to kill the cancer, right? Mm-hmm. It may have all kinds of side effects. It may make us sick. Hair falls out. We throw up. Whatever the case might be. But at least the cancer is going to die. Well, there was a study done in Russia, and obviously more studies need to be done on this. But they discovered that women with breast cancer who are given chemo, that in 23% of the women surveyed showed new tumor formation under the influence of chemotherapy. Wow. They're saying, in the other 77%, it was either reducing it or killing it completely, or maybe no change at all. But they're saying in 23%, it's actually caused a growth in breast cancer tumors. And I thought, how
that's
incredible of a find. That's massive. That's not like, okay, 2%. That's almost 1 in 4 women. Yeah. You have almost 1 in 4 chance of getting chemo and coming out, and so is it that the stuff is actually effective, or is it just coincidence, or is it causing the tumor to grow, or is it just doing nothing at all except making the woman sick? Yeah. And of course, they really don't know the answers to all those.
Well, you know what's interesting, but, as I've gotten to the opportunity to listen to you, and you bring up a lot of these different subjects and things and modalities, there are so many things that I've become aware of that medical science or science in general simply knows nothing about, and they keep learning new things all the time. I read something. I think I sent it to you. I may not have. It also dealt with cancer and the treatment of cancers, and they had determined now they're going to do, and as you said before, they have to do more testing on it, that the people that are undergoing chemo, and it creates a hair loss and a nausea and all this stuff, that they've been experimenting doing these ice water hair massages and head massages, and it's keeping the hair from falling out during chemo and reducing the nausea. I got you, didn't I?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, my brain is like racing, thinking of, all the, like how that even, but first of all, how someone even thought of that. I mean, I guess, it stops it from cooking. That's just really interesting. What a fascinating idea. I love that. And I'm all for things like that. Okay. You're going to get chemo. You're still going to do it. Let's find a way to at least reduce some of the side effects or some of the fallout from that, like the hair loss. And wow, you did not send me that article, but you can be guaranteed I'm going to be Googling that one and some research on.
It's interesting. Cool. It's interesting because as I read incessantly and I look at just a plethora of news agencies and periodicals and things, and I'm constantly coming up with things, and I'll see things that I think, this is interesting. I'll send it to Sean. Well, maybe I shouldn't. He already knows this. And I send it to him.
Don't ever. But even if I do know it, it's always good to. I tell you what. Even when you know something to be true, and especially if it's something that's a bit controversial or maybe goes against the grain of society, it's always nice to get something that supports your view on things. Like obviously, obviously everyone who listens to the show has a pretty good idea of my view of immunizations. Anytime someone sends me an article that supports that, I just go, oh, that's awesome. I already knew. I'll read articles and I go, I know all of this. Yeah. But it's nice to see someone who did something a little bit further that still supports it. And it's kind of cool. So yeah, man, don't ever assume that I know, first of all, but you can always assume that I like to be supported in my views on things. And so it really is. It's a fascinating world. Like this thing with the chemo here. What they're saying is that it is quite likely and very possible that this chemo is creating, just like antibiotics create bacteria that are resistant to antibiotics. They're saying that the chemo is now starting to create cancers that are resistant to chemotherapy.
You know what? And it just seems like, I'm going to say every day, but often science is coming up with new things and new statistics and new studies that contradict a lot of the things that were going on. Now, having said that, we've got 15 seconds before we have to go. And I got to tell you something that I learned in school, and that's something that you and I are going to do on our Hour of Power every week. And that is if you can't impress the hell out of people with your knowledge and your intelligence, you need to learn how to baffle them with bullshit.
I'll take either one.
Have a wonderful weekend. Have a great evening. Make everybody's life better because you're in it, and stay safe, will you, pal?
Absolutely. Same to you, Robert. I had a fantastic time today. Thank you as always.
So did I. I just loved it. Now, stay tuned. When we come back from this message, we're going to do our happy birthdays for the day, the secret daily teachings for your life, the Harvard business tip of the day, and interesting but useless facts. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:40 p.m. Pacific time, currently 62 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, if you missed the last hour with us, boy, did you miss something great. It was our Hour of Power with Sean LaFave and me on the world. We talked about some fantastic things. So if you missed it, you know what? Go to our archives. The easiest way to do that is get my app, if you have an Apple product, go to the Apple Store, search Robert Cardoza Live, and it's free. Download the app. You can put it on your iPad. You can put it on your computer, your desktop. You can put it on your iPhone. Or if you have an Android or a Windows product, go to GooglePlay.com. Search Robert Cardoza Live. The app's right there, and it's free. Download it. You'll be able to listen to our show live. You'll be able to chat with us while we're on the show if you want to, and you can actually listen to all of our archives. You'll be glad you did, especially the show we just did with Sean LaFave. The guy is just articulate and wonderful. Well, you know what? It's time for me to talk about our Harvard business tip of the day. The management tip today is how artists can collaborate with less creative peers. When creative projects struggle, a lack of good ideas is rarely the problem. Usually, the issue is with incorporating the various ideas into the output. Now, team members who think of themselves as artists have a great tendency to reject others' creative ideas, but even artists need to be open to suggestions from others. Now, here's how you do it. Think of others' input as general inspiration rather than as a challenge to your vision. Consider new ideas an opportunity to build on your thinking, and maintain an unemotional demeanor during collaborations. Reacting less in the moment helps you maintain a less hostile tone. And delay responding to new ideas. If your knee-jerk response to new ideas is rejecting them, give yourself time to think through an idea's merits before making a decision about it. And then finally, think of projects as learning opportunities, not products. Instead of focusing on getting every detail right, Focus on a project's useful takeaways. Now there is a business tip worth learning. Well, you know what? It's time for us to talk about the secret daily teaching for your life. You know, this is all about a positive mental attitude. I tell you that every day. You are in total control of your life. It's all about your own mental attitude. If you get up in the morning and you say it's going to be a great day, you believe it's going to be a great day, you smile, and you make everybody's life better for it, yours will be better too. You control your future and your existence today. Just think about it. Well, the secret for today is the law of attraction is a law of nature. It is impersonal and it does not see good things or bad things. It's receiving your thoughts and reflecting back to you those thoughts as your life experience. The law of attraction simply gives you whatever it is that you're thinking about. Isn't that what I just said? It's a positive mental attitude. That's what it's all about. Well, you know what today is? Yep. Thursday, December the 10th. And it's somebody's birthday. Oh, yeah, we've got some great birthdays today, too. You know what? This person was born in 1830, died in 1886. Everybody knows her. She was an American poet. Happy birthday, Emily Dickinson. And here's a guy. Boy, did I love this guy. He was a great actor. He was a fun guy to watch. He was born in 1928, died in 1972, very young. He was an actor best remembered for his role as Eric Hoss Cartwright in the NBC Western television blockbuster Bonanza. Happy birthday, Dan Blocker. And Meg White, born in 1974, drummer best known as one half of the Detroit rock duo, the White Stripes, with her ex-husband, Jack White. Well, what happened today in history? December the 10th, 1901, the very first Nobel Prizes are awarded. And in 1906, U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt wins the Nobel Peace Prize, becoming the first American to win a Nobel Prize. And then, in 1948, the United Nations General Assembly adopts the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And finally, big time, December the 10th, 1955, the Mighty Mouse Playhouse premiered on television. Yeah. Well, you know, the quote for today comes from a great comedian. Most, if you're old enough, you know of him. And it's from Bob Newhart. And Bob says, laughter gives us distance. It allows us to step back from an event, deal with it, and then move on. Yep. The guy was wise beyond his years. You know that? Super fella. Well, you know what time it is now. Yep, it's time for our interesting but useless facts. Let's start off with this one. Did you know that no one has ever been able to domesticate the African elephant? Only the Indian elephant can be trained by a man, not the African elephant. Why do you think elephant? I'll just keep it trying. You know what, the heck with that. You know, the average 1.25 pound lobster is 7 to 9 years old. Give that some thought. Boy, I remember going to Steve's Pier 1 on Long Island in New York many years ago. I'm a big lobster lover. And I remember Milt Sarkin and Frank Panzarella, Dr. Frank Panzarella, took me to lunch. They knew I liked lobster. Took me to Steve's Pier 1, where the smallest lobster was a 4-pound lobster. Man, I thought I died and went to heaven. You know what? Here's another one for you. Did you know that goodbye came from God-bye, which came from God be with you? Give that some thought. And, you know, the giant South African earthworm can grow up to 22 feet long and 1 inch thick. Give that some thought. Ugh. You know, until the late 1960s, men with long hair were not allowed to enter Disneyland. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Wholesome, right? Give that some thought. You know what? German shepherds bite humans more than any other breed of dog. Give that some thought. You hear about bulldogs. You hear about pit bulls. You don't hear about German shepherds so much. But if you think about it, police dogs, a lot of them are German shepherds. And, you know, so they train well too. How about this? In 30 minutes, the average body gives off enough heat combined to bring a half gallon of water to a boil. Can you imagine? Don't think about that too hard. You know, Earth is the only planet not named after a god. Can you? Yeah. Wow. Hadn't even thought about that. My grandson Joey would appreciate that. Here's one. Cranberries are sorted for ripeness by bouncing them. Now, a fully ripened cranberry can be dribbled like a basketball. Now, I didn't know that. I don't like cranberries, but, you know, that might be a good use for it. Did you know when recognizing a person's face, you use the right side of your brain? Doesn't make any difference as long as you can recognize it. I suppose when you get old and you don't recognize anybody anymore, it's because you're not using any part of your brain. Let me leave you with this. There are more than 50,000 earthquakes throughout the world every year. Now that, my friends, is a scary thought. Now, do not go away. When we come back, I'm going to be answering your emails. First one comes from Mark Lau from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. He's asking about being a head of household, and I'm going to answer that question as soon as we get back. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:53 p.m. Pacific time, down to 62 degrees on its way to 44 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, we're coming down to the wire. Time for me to answer your emails. Just want to caution you that this is an entertainment part of the show. I do my best to answer your emails comprehensively, but sometimes the information you give me can be just a little sporadic, missing a few details. So we do our best, but we always encourage you to contact a licensed professional before you do anything. They're going to save you more money than they cost you, and they're going to let you sleep at night and have peace of mind, simply because they're required as part of their licensing to have errors and omissions insurance. That's the same thing as malpractice insurance, but it means if they make a mistake, they pay the piper and not you. So, but here we go. It's time to get into our first email. First one comes from Mark Lau from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. He's asking about being a head of household and says, my daughter lives with me and I've been filing as head of household. Now, she's a full-time student and I pay more than half her expenses, but she turned 24 during the past year, had $16,500 of income, and took an exemption for herself on her own tax return. Do I still qualify to file as a head of household? Well, Mark, no, you don't. Your daughter no longer is a qualifying child because she was not under the age of 24 at year end, and she's not any other kind of qualifying person because her income is over the personal exemption amount. Now, the fact that she claimed an exemption for herself on her own tax return also bars her from being a qualifying person. So, if your daughter is the only person for whom you provide a household, you no longer qualify for head of household. And next email comes from Matt Lawrence from Bend, Oregon, asking about no salary for a proprietorship. Writes, if I set up a sideline business as a proprietorship, can I set my salary from it at zero so that profits will build up in the business without my paying tax on them? Well, Matt, again, the answer to your question, no. A proprietorship does not pay salary to its owner. Instead, all of its income is taxed to its owner, subject to both income tax and self-employment tax. However, setting up a qualified retirement plan for it may let you save all or much of its income tax-free. Now, a solo 401k lets you save the first $15,500, $20,500 if you're 50 years old or older, of business income, plus 20% of net business income. So let me give you an example of it. Let's just say that you're 50 and your sideline makes $25,000. You can save all of its income in a solo 401k. Now, the alternative is setting up your new business as a corporation lets you set a salary for yourself. This entails many complications, so make sure you consult an expert before you move on in that direction. I hope that helps you, Matt. Anyway, next email comes from Elliot Liu from Port Allegheny, Pennsylvania, asking about joint liability and says, in past years, my wife hid income from the IRS, so I filed separately to avoid being liable for her taxes. Now, she's reporting all of her income and wants to file joint returns with me. Will filing jointly with her now make me liable for her back taxes and penalties for those past years? Well, Elliot, no. It won't. Joint liability for your spouse's taxes applies only in years for which you file a joint return with your spouse. Now, filing a joint return after a period of filing separate returns does not retroactively create joint liability for the separate return years. However, before filing jointly, be absolutely sure that your wife is not continuing to understate her income. Now, IRS scrutiny of prior years may lead to the current return and ultimately include your items. So any overpayment might then be applied to back taxes, and you don't want that to happen. Okay, last email comes from Jimmy Luce. Jimmy's writing me from Amarillo, Texas, asking about deductible medical expenses and says, My mother lives with me and I claim her as a dependent. Can I include her Medicare Part D premiums for her prescription drug benefit in my deductible medical expenses? Well, about time, Jimmy, I got to a yes. Medicare premiums paid under both Part B, which is outpatient insurance, and Part D, that's prescription drug benefits, qualify as deductible medical expenses. Now, normal rules do apply, so you can deduct the medical expenses of a dependent, and your deduction is limited to the amount by which the total medical expenses exceed 10% of your adjusted gross income. Hopefully that's helped you. I certainly hope it has. Now I want to thank you for listening to Robert Cardoza Live at the intersection of business and politics. Robert Cardoza Live broadcasts on Spreaker Radio, Roar, 1776 Radio, MyCast Live Radio, and countless terrestrial stations worldwide every Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. And we're on the 405 Media Radio Network Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Pacific Time. We're also on the Pundit Press, PNN Talk Radio, and SHR Media Radio with John Matthews and the Conservative Syndicate every Monday and Friday from 3:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific Time. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, Podomatic, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com and email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com. That's where you get all the emails I deal with here on the show. Now, on my next show, Steve Tidwell talks dentistry and David Garrett talks the law. I encourage you to tell all of your friends about my show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network. That's our show
today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I enjoyed producing it for you. Don't forget to join me again tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific Time for another installment of Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. In the meantime, I want you to stay safe. I want you to stay happy, and I want you to make everybody's life you touch better because you did. And with that, good night, everybody.